The Codega is a guide and a storyteller, escorting you through the night, lighting the way, warding off thieves, ghosts, demons, and other oddities. Along the journey, his companions would often share with him the most curious of stories that he'd record in his codex. Perhaps you just might find yourself traveling with the Codega and sharing one of yours.
It was 1912 when a dusty manuscript turned up in the hands of an antiquarian book dealer. It was bound in vellum and inked in a language no human had ever seen before. It seemed to whisper secrets from another world, alchemical diagrams, naked nymphs bathing in green tubes, flowers that never existed. Some people said that it's a code. Others say that this is a hoax. Myself, I think this is from another dimension or another world. All right, everyone, welcome to Codega's Codex of Curiosities. I'm Rye Codega, your ever-curious lantern bearer into the long-forgotten and not yet explained. And tonight, we are going to crack open the most unreadable book in human history, literally. And maybe, just maybe, we'll hear what it's been trying to say all along. All right, so here's how this whole mystery starts. Okay, and like I said, in 1912, this rare book dealer named Wilfred Voynich is going through this old collection of manuscripts at a Jesuit college in Italy, and he stumbles upon this very strange book. There's no title, no author, just these thick vellum pages, which is calfskin, and it's really old, and the script no one had ever seen before. The script doesn't even match any known language. It's not Latin, it's not Greek, it's not Hebrew, it's not even a cipher we can break. It flows from left to right, very neat handwriting, but totally unrecognizable, totally like alien. No one's ever cracked it, and so people just started calling it Voynich cheese. Because honestly, what else would you call it? We'll name it after the guy who kind of, I don't want to say discovered it, but brought it to attention. Now, in this book, there are illustrations, hundreds of pages filled with bizarre botanical drawings. As I mentioned, plants that don't even really exist or in any known flora catalog. Some look familiar, but most don't. There are strange diagrams of astronomical charts, which might be zodiac symbols as well. And weirdest of all, a bunch of nude women bathing in greenish fluid inside tubes or pools, sometimes surrounded by what I think looks like plumbing systems or possibly wombs. So it's it's kind of like someone mixed a medieval herbal guide with an alien biology textbook. Yeah, it's pretty strange. And for years, people thought it was a hoax, maybe even created by Voynich himself. But then in 2009, scientists carbon dated the vellum, and it turns out this material is the real deal. Early 15th century, between 1404 and 1438. So if it was a hoax, it would have been pulled off by like several centuries before Voynich was even born. And still, no one can read it. Not scholars, not cryptographers, not even AI. It just refuses to give up its secrets. So, and this hoax, like I was saying, if they think it was a hoax, imagine the time and effort you would put into this. It's incredible. So today, the Voynich Manuscript is at the Yale University at their Benica Rare Book and Manuscript Library. It's cataloged as Manuscript 408. You can even look at the digital scans online, and I'm going to be posting those. So I'm going to be running through that while I'm talking here about the Voynich Manuscript. So if you're listening to this episode, maybe tune into YouTube and you can see this. It's astounding. So, but I'm going to warn you, staring at the pages like too long, it's it's very strange. You're wondering, what am I looking at, and you get lost within it. So what is the Voynich Manuscript? Is it possibly a forgotten medical text, a coded alchemical journal, an artifact from another culture, or maybe even, I personally think, another world, or another extension of our world? So, and nobody knows really, and that's exactly why I'm talking about it tonight. So, what's actually in this book? Well, the manuscript isn't written like a novel or a diary. It's more like a collection of themed chapters, and it gets stranger. Like each chapter is stranger than the last. And scholars have gone through it. They tried to organize it into sections just based on the illustrations and layout. And this is what they've gotten so far. So first, they'll call it the botanical section, and this is the largest part of the manuscript and the most misleadingly normal. Okay, it's the most normal kind of looking part of this manuscript, and it looks like your typical medieval herbal. Like, so if you ever looked in medieval books, this is kind of what it's looking like, and it's like something a healer or an apothecary might use. It's page after page of plants, but of course, like I said, no one recognizes any of them. I would say some of them look similar, but there's not a single plant that matches any of those species. Some are mashups, like roots from one, leaves from another of our plants, kind of thing, possibly. And it looks like someone dreamed up new life forms. So they sketched them out and gave them medical properties for a world that just doesn't exist. It's quite unsettling, actually. So, because it's and it's almost familiar. You feel like you should recognize some of these plants, but you don't. It's like deja vu for a garden that just really was never there. Maybe like a Mandela effect or something. Now, okay, so the next one, the next section is the astronomical section. So now we hit stars, and this section is full of celestial diagrams, circular charts that look like zodiac signs. There's planetary systems, constellations, and they're all done in this elegant, symmetrical way. There are suns and moons and starbursts, and there's also like these strange wheels that just seem to spin off into nowhere. And now, some of it definitely feels astrological, like it's tracking seasons or cycles, but none of it lines up with any known systems. It's like a sky map from a completely different planet or forgotten cosmology entirely. Okay. Now, the next section is this balneological section, and this is this is one of the fan favorites because of how weird it is. And I mentioned before that there was like these naked nymphs or these naked women. So you got like dozens of these naked women drawn a style that's almost like it's very like a playful type of style, and they're bathing in these tubes and pools of like this green liquid, and sometimes they're in enclosed structure that look like plumbing systems, or I don't know, could it be like organs? And they're holding stars, riding rivers, passing through pipes. Now, here's something to think of. Like, is this possibly a manuscript from Inner Earth? Argatha? I always mess that up. It could be something like that. They talked about there being, constellations in there. I've heard this before. And then you have, the stories of the green children. I don't know if anybody's ever heard that. You should look into that. And if they're bathing in this green liquid, who knows? Okay, so let's get back to it. So some researchers think it could be this medical, like referencing like healing bath or womb-like imagery. Interesting. So, and they, of course, most people lean more to like mystical fertility rites, alchemical rebirth, or or it could be just an average spa day for interdimensional water nymphs. Who knows? Who knows? When you see these, you're gonna scratch your head. You're like, oh my god. Okay, Then next is the cosmological section. And you thought I was getting abstract. Now this is even more abstract. So these pages are filled with like bizarre diagrams, nested circles, geometrical shapes, spirals, and structures that look like they could be maps, maybe. Some even resemble like castle walls. They look like castle walls or interconnected cities or tunnels under the earth. Interesting, right? But of course, none of these places exist, at least not on our planet or not on our surface of our planet. And some folks think it could represent that this could all just be representative of a spiritual journey or realms beyond the physical. Others, they say it's just gibberish dressed up as a sacred geometry. Now, either way, it makes you feel like you're definitely missing the instructions for decoding a machine built to chart the soul. This is everything. It's kind of like you're missing the key or the legend for this whole book. Now, next section is the pharmaceutical section. So now we're going to go back to like the pseudoscience. There's drawings of roots and leaves and all kinds of plant parts, and they're carefully labeled. You guessed it, in Voynich. Now, alongside them are rows of jars, like something you would have like an apothecary or like a wizard's pantry. You're a wizard, Harry. Now, it's as if someone tried to document ingredients for a very specific type of medicine or potion or something. And again, like I said, this handwriting or this Voynich is beautiful. It's really nice. It's a very nice writing. But back to this, yeah, it's not like we're going back to this this apothecary or these pharmaceutical section. And it's not decorative either. Like these drawings look very technical and intentional. So whoever made these drawings had a system down. Like they knew what they were doing. It was kind of like very like follow these steps kind of thing. But again, we just don't understand it. And then now we go to the final section, which is recipes. That's what they assume this is. The final section is where things get completely just off the wall. There's these very dense pages of uninterrupted script, like paragraph after paragraph of instructions. And no one, of course, like I said, no one can read a word of it. There are star-like bullet points within this marking sections, but in this one, there's no illustrations to guide us. So it looks like the meat and potatoes of the manuscript, the actual how to or whatever this is. Is it a history? Is it a biography, an autobiography? I don't know, but it's definitely like reading a manual that's written in some dream language for a world that we've never been to, and we definitely probably shouldn't visit it without the Voynich Manuscript. Now, the best way, many people say, like the best way they've ever heard it described is in this quote. It's, imagine if Leonardo da Vinci and a DMT tripping forest witch co-authored a survival guide for a dimension made entirely of moss and glowing fungi. Yeah, so that's the type of energy that this book is giving off. And yet every part of it feels like it means something. There's intent. There is so much intent behind it, as if it's like trying to communicate with, not just with us though. So let's say for a moment that this Voynich manuscript does make sense, that it's not just some elaborate hoax or a fever dream. Now, plenty of smart people have all tried to prove that. And when I mean smart people, I mean like top level cryptographers, linguistics, even Alan Turing himself dipped his toe into the Voynich pool. And still, like decades and centuries later, we still got nothing. But of course, that has never stopped the theories from piling up. So we're going to get into the theories now. The first one is a cipher or code theories. The most obvious assumption of this is it must be some kind of cipher, a hidden language, a substitution system, a code only the author could read. And that is the theory pulled into people like William Friedman, the same guy who broke Japan's purple cipher during World War II. Even Alan Turing looked at this thing and he said he said it was straightforward cipher. Now, these people would have cracked it, but the Voynich script doesn't behave like known encrypted text. There's no clear pattern of encryption, no key, no signs of correction or re-encoding. And which is odd because even code breakers make mistakes. Now, it's too structured to be nonsense. The symbols follow predictable frequencies, rules, combinations, which of course led to the next theory. The next theory is it's an actual language. It's a natural native language, but which one? Voynich? Now, some researchers believe that the manuscript is written in a real language. I believe so too, and just one we haven't identified. Now, statistically, the way the words and letters repeat, um, and actually, they actually look like a natural human language. But here's the catch: the words are too repetitive and too uniform. It's like someone compressed a language, smoothed out the rough edges, and made it maybe too perfect. I don't know. Is it something like a court reporter would do? Now, some theorists even say it might be a lost language. I kind of on that. I don't even know if it's a lost language, if it's still a living language, but not from here, or something like an early artificial one. And that's where we get into it is possibly a constructed language or something called a glossolia. Now, which is an invented language, maybe something like Tolkien's Elvish, but medieval. So some people have speculated it's a personal constructed language, something designed by one mind for one purpose. And that's the case. Unless we find Rosetta Stone, we're probably completely out of luck. So if this was, or there's also an idea of like I said, a glossolia, which is spirit writing. And maybe the author believed that they were channeling some kind of higher intelligence, writing down what they heard or saw without really understanding what they're doing. And of course, if that's true, then this whole manuscript might not be meant for the conscious mind to read. Now, the next theory is that this is the herbal encyclopedia theory. So it's that it's a medical or botanical text, which it definitely looks like that. A kind of reference book on healing plants, which of course makes sense until you look at the plants. None of them match anything that we know. Some might resemble real herbs, but most are widely unfamiliar. Some are completely composites, like Frankenplants or something like that. They're drawn from imagination or a dream. That's the only we can think of. If it's an herbal, it's herbal for a different plant or maybe a metaphysical one. There still are parallels to known medieval herbs. It's like the layout, the roots and labels are positioned, but if the plants are fiction, is the information real? Now, it can also be a medical manual for women. This one gained some traction recently. The theory that the Voynich is kind of a woman's health manual was possibly created by or for medieval midwives. And here is why that possibly sticks. It's the balneological section where all the nymphs are bathing, which possibly is referencing wombs, menstrual cycles, fertility. And there's the zodiac chart, which could tie into medieval beliefs about astrology guiding health and conception. And of course, there's the pharmaceutical section with the jars and herbs and recipes. Now, it could be a text for regulating or understanding the female body, but wrapped in layers of secrecy, symbolism, or even like a cultural protection. Because, like, if you think about that time, anything to do with the female body was, of course, shrouded in mysticism and taboo and danger. So stay away from that. So maybe that is a possibility. Now, the problem again is the language. No one can read it. So these are all theories. We're just staring at these pages I feel like you're looking at it, you're like, maybe it means this, or maybe it means this. And in the end, we just really can't prove anything. So again, despite all the experts, all the scans, the AI, this book, the Voynich Manuscript, is still a big confusing secret. And now, if the mainstream theories, like those ones I just recited, they can't crack it, now perhaps we're asking the wrong questions. Perhaps we need to go onto my side, onto our side. So we're going to dive into some stranger theories, like, the ones that live in the shadows, the ones that ask, what if this book wasn't written for us? So these are the theories that, they don't necessarily teach us in cryptography school. So, like, what if we're holding the book not just outside of known history, but outside of the assumptions of reality itself? So, like, we're going to step out of this library, the smoke-filled chambers of forbidden ideas, and we're going to take the Voynich Manuscript with us. And this may be a mirror, a trigger, a key, or even some people think it could even be a trap. Now, what happens if the Voynich Manuscript wasn't created by us, at least by not modern Homo sapiens? Some people are saying that it could be a surviving record from a non-human intelligence, either extraterrestrial or what you might call pre-human race, because we know that there are pre-human race, gigantic Pithecia, the Neanderthals. There is like the Hobbit type folks. So again, we're going to want to think about these ancient beings who inhabited Earth before us, and they either fled, perished, or went underground, literally or figuratively. Now, there's actually a precedent for the historical record. So cultures around the world speak of first beings. And this is important because it's something we talk about a lot. The antediluvians, the Anunnaki, the Watchers. So creatures or entities who built great civilizations and then disappeared before the Great Flood, or were buried under the shifting crust of the earth. The Popol Vuh of the Maya, for example, tells of several failed human creations. One of mud, one of wood, before we as humans arrived. So could the Voynich be a lasting surviving record of their science, their language, their relationship with the earth and stars, like a farmer's almanac or a field manual for the forgotten age? The issue is if that was true, of course, we're not the intended readers. Their biology, their cognition, their syntax could be an alien, could be as alien to us as a whale song is to, I don't know, to the dogs outside or to ants. So maybe that's the point. Now, next theory is possibly, so this theory steps out of history and into our consciousness. So what if the manuscript didn't come from Earth at all, but from the astral plane? The idea is that the Voynich Manuscript was created through automatic writing, a process where an author or someone goes into a trance and allows information to flow through them. And this is a well-documented phenomena in mystical circles, which ties to theosophy, spiritualism, and yes, even psychedelic visions. It really does. So Madame Blavatsky, the founder of Theosophy, believed in hidden masters, spiritual hierarchies, and ancient languages that could be accessed through trance, initiation, or inherited spiritual memories. Others like Rudolf Steiner claimed that the true knowledge could be reasoned. It couldn't be reasoned. It had to be received through automatic writing, one of the ways. So now imagine that you got a 15th century monk or mystic who's in isolation, and like they're starving themselves, they're meditating, they're experimenting with herbs. We've long forgotten, who knows, maybe ayahuasca. They pick up a pen, hours pass, days pass, and then all of a sudden these pages just spill out, covered in language they don't understand, filled with symbols and plants and cosmology that they didn't consciously invent. So it could be a channeled transmission, a record from the Akashic Library, which, if those who don't know, that's the universal library or like data bank of all knowledge and experience ever. And it's in this one location. Those are the Akashic records is usually what they call them. Or it could have even just been a psychedelic trip journal from someone who accidentally microdosed with mushrooms into contact with something. You'd never know. Okay, so let's go to the next possible one, and this one is kind of like a mix blend between spiritual with ancient. So some believe that the manuscript could be written in a language of a lost civilization, such as Atlantis or Lemuria or Mu. Now, these cultures would be advanced far beyond our time, and we've talked about them in the past. Now, and of course, they were wiped out by natural cataclysms, or maybe they're even just hidden intentionally from history. So, in esoteric circles, these civilizations weren't just technologically advanced; they were spiritually aligned. They used the vibrational languages, sacred geometry, and plant human energy in symbiosis to live in harmony with the earth. So, and that's so the lore goes, kind of thing. Now, the Voynich does fit kind of weirdly into this model. So first you have like the plant drawings, which could be from a species that of course no longer exists or that existed in non-physical realms. And the diagrams resemble cosmological maps, DNA spirals, chakra flows, and the bathing nymphs could be symbolic of energy cleansing, divine birth, or initiation rituals tied to the moon and water. Now, if this book was Atlantean, maybe that's why we just can't understand it. Not because we're too dumb, but just because we're too disconnected from everything. All right. Now, we're going to go even further into the sci-fi kind of realm. So, what if the Voynich manuscript wasn't a relic from the past, but a misplaced artifact from the future? See, this is interesting. So a chrononaut, which would be a time traveler, a rogue scientist, maybe even a future librarian, travels back to observe or correct the past. They lose or intentionally leave a notebook behind, one written in a language that hasn't been developed yet, possibly a post-linguistic type of system, like language designed for AI human communication or possibly multi-sensory cognition. Now, this could explain the untranslatable text, the unknown plants, perhaps future hybrids, the zodiac and cosmology that don't quite align with ours because they're from a time when our solar system has been altered, possibly, quite possibly. Now, and here's the real kicker as well. If that theory is true, the book might not even be meant to be read. It might be data storage, like QR codes for future minds. I like that. I like that a lot. Now, another theory, and one of the last theories, and this is one that a lot of people believe as well, which kind of sucks. This theory is not my thing. It's what if it's just a medieval prank? Now, some people have suggested that Voynich himself was created, create this Voynich manuscript created to fool a wealthy collector. Just gibberish made to look like mystical book filled with nonsense plants and fancy squiggles, and it would fetch a high price. It would be like a Renaissance con job. Now, the issue, though, is the level and the effort and the consistency required to pull this off is huge. There are hundreds of pages, all with the same type of handwriting, the same rhythm, the same linguistical rules, all these detailed illustrations with thematic continuity. There's no corrections in this book. There's no notes, no breaks in their form. And seriously, who would spend years creating this fake book that no one could read, for no real payoff? It in my opinion, it really doesn't kind of add up. Not unless it was some sort of like artistic kind or spiritual act, or like this hoax that was done, just to create this, like it's a form of art. So who knows? Maybe it wasn't meant to like trick other people. Maybe it was meant to test us. Now there's also an extra one last theory. So, and it's not many people talk about this. Is like, what happens if this is a magical book, a grimoire, but it only is going to work for a select group of readers. So not just anyone could decode it. Maybe it requires a certain lineage, a bloodline with an ancient memory that they can read this, the descendants of the Nephilim, maybe, or maybe those who walk with gods or giants or the Watchers. And to everyone else, it just looks it's like locked. You can't actually see it. It doesn't form into words we understand. Which is really interesting. Maybe they're trained to do this. Maybe the words form as they're reading it. So, some say that it reveals secrets only to those with the right soul code. And if it doesn't speak to you, maybe you just were never meant to hear it. Yeah. So in the end, the Voynich Manuscript might be exactly what appears to be, a message, but maybe not a message to us. Maybe it's a beacon for someone else or something else. And until that person or that thing comes along, until the stars are right in alignment, the right eyes take a look at this book, it's just going to keep whispering on the shelves in Yale, just waiting for someone to open it and to read it and to decode it for us. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this. What do you guys think of the Voynich Manuscript? What do you think it really is? Is it just an elaborate prank, or maybe it's a portal to another dimension? Maybe it's a book from Inner Earth. I know it all sounds crazy, but of course, stranger things have always happened. Or, what if it is like this plant-based survival guide for some post-apocalyptic world? Okay, so what I'd like you guys to do is, leave in the comments. I want to hear your theories. How, I don't care if they're weird, they're wild, or totally out there. Just drop them in the comments, and go with your gut. Follow your conspiracy theories. Listen to those secret hunches. Now, I hope you guys really, really enjoyed this, and this was a puzzle. This is a puzzle, and this one will. I've always thought about it. I've always had it in my mind. The Voynich Manuscript. The first time I saw it, I was like, "What is this?" And I was hooked. So hopefully you guys are hooked as well. And if you guys enjoyed the show, make sure you guys leave a review. 5 stars would be great. But if you don't like it, just go. You can walk away. All right, everyone. And with that, keep your curiosity wandering, keep the light lit, and always find your way home.
Beneath the stars where shadows grow, the Nephilim's echoes whisper low. Bigfoot roams through the forest deep, and Dogman prowls where the brave won't sleep. Across lost history we wonder why, seeking the truth that time tried to hide. Keep your curiosities wandering and the light lit. Through the darkness, don't ever quit. In the Codex, the mysteries come, and always find your way back home. UFOs streak through the velvet skies. Aliens watch with unblinking eyes. The paranormal hums where silence breaks. In the void of secrets, a lantern wakes. Through hidden realms and stories untold, the Codex flame is a light to hold. Keep your curiosities wandering and the light lit. Through the darkness, don't ever quit. In the Codex, the mysteries come, and always find your way back home. UFOs streak through the velvet skies. Aliens watch with unblinking eyes. The paranormal hums where silence breaks. In the void of secrets, a lantern wakes. Through hidden realms and stories untold, the Codex flame is a light to hold. Keep your curiosities wandering and the light lit. Through the darkness, don't ever quit. In the Codex, the mysteries come and always find your way back home. Legends rise from the Earth's deep core, a lost legacy we can't ignore. With every step, the veil grows thin, revealing worlds where the strange begins. Keep your curiosities wandering and the light lit. Through the darkness, don't ever quit. In the Codex, the mysteries come and always find your way back home. Giant script is the code.